Hey guys, welcome back. Happy November to everyone here in America who is about to celebrate Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And for everyone out there who is not celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope you're just having a great week wherever you are. So I figured it was time for another Q&A so I could get to some of your guys' questions, some more of your guys' questions. I did talk about this on Instagram a little bit the other day, but I do get a lot of DMs with questions, and I'm not able to answer a lot of them just because that's something that I reserve for my paying clients. But I do these Q&As every so often, so if you would like to get your questions answered, please be sure to check in for anytime I do these so that not only will I answer your questions, but then your questions will be helping tons of other people who are wondering the exact same things. So let's not waste too much time. We'll jump right into it here in a second. But if by chance you are new, hey, I'm Jessie Riemann, and I'm a certified eating disorder recovery coach, personal trainer, and manifestation coach. And on this channel, we talk about overcoming eating disorders and body dysmorphia and how to manifest your dream life using self-love techniques and by building more self-confidence. And as I always say, I'm here to help you fire that negative inner self-critic and help you unleash your inner confident badass. All right, so I did ask you guys that if you wanted your Instagram handle to be used here in this video to let me know. So if you did not let me know one way or the other, what I'm going to do is I will read your question. I'll read your name off of my phone, but I won't put it up here in the actual video, okay? So I just figured that would be the most fair way to make sure that you know your question got answered, but I want to make sure that just in case you didn't want me to share your actual Instagram name, that I don't share it. So here we go. All right, first question comes from Nellie June. Hi, Nell. How long did it take to get rid of all intestine symptoms and pain? Okay, so a lot of you guys already know this, but if you don't, digestive symptoms, like severe digestive problems, was actually the reason that I discovered recovery in the first place. And a lot of you guys know this from watching my channel and others, that a lot of times your digestive symptoms get worse in the beginning of recovery. It's incredibly normal because your body's going through a lot of change. So if I were to think back, it was over the course of like 6 months, but they were progressively getting better. And definitely through recovery in the sense that, starting to eat all the things that I had restricted for so long, and that helping to bring my digestive system back online and help to create more balance of gut bacteria, gut bacteria in the small and large intestine. But I'll tell you what I think other than that was like super key to healing my digestive system. And I mean, some of you are going to be like, we know what you're going to say. And that is affirmations. So I was like super religious about, like, even when I would feel really sick every day, I would still affirm that my digestive system was super healthy and functioning really well, and that I felt really great every day, even when I didn't. And then I also did something that I talk a lot about with clients, and that's like food affirmations. So literally, like, before, during, and after I would eat things, I would literally say out loud, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can just do it in your head, that I was digesting this food really well, that everything I was about to eat or everything I was eating was, every single bite that I took was healing my digestive system more, that everything I was eating was healing me. And that really, really helped, because not only do you usually start out in an eating disorder with, like before recovery, with a lot of fears around whether it's you think certain things hurt your digestion, or you've just been super terrified to eat them for a long time for whatever reason, you're going into recovery with a lot of fear-based thinking. And a lot of times when you start eating things, of course, that you're scared to eat, then it's creating this really strong fight or flight response. And that can literally, your brain can cause your body to start to sort of reject the food that you're eating. So if you want to teach your body to start allowing the food to come in and to believe that the food is actually helping your body, then those kind of affirmations can be super helpful. So yeah, I think it took about 6 months, and it progressively got better. Okay, our next question comes from Rachel Zhang. All right, so it looks like we've got a part 1 and a part 2. So part 1 says, if you lost some overshoot, but there seems to be a plateau, is that normal? Yes, absolutely, it's normal. What I found in my own recovery, and I see this with clients too, is, again, like I talk about lots of times, you and your body are rebuilding trust, right? And your body is really the one that needs to see that it can trust you. So if overshoot does come off, it will tend to sort of do it like this. And then plateau, and then and then plateau, and then and it's just kind of like, the way I see it is like the body's way of kind of starting to see like, okay, I think it's safe to release a little bit, and now I'm going to stay here and see what happens. And then I'm going to release a little bit, and then I'm going to wait and see what happens. Until you find wherever you seem to stay for years. And then you've likely found your set point. Okay, part 2 then, from the same person. Can your body continue losing overshoot after some time in a plateau? Yeah, so that's kind of what we just talked about is, yeah, it absolutely can. Okay, our next question comes from Bionic Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Gone all in at 52, which is really common. I'm finding it hard to do things like tie my shoes. Any advice? Oh my gosh, so many of us go through this. I went through it too. I know how uncomfortable that is, so let me just start by saying I know that's really uncomfortable, and I'm sorry. It is really normal. So far, almost every person that I have worked with has gone through this phase, but that's just it is a phase. And truly the best thing that you can do is really be compassionate towards yourself and realize that your body is in a swollen state because it's healing. And that swelling has to be there right now to help you. And if you can start to shift your mindset about since we're talking about the midsection and when you're bending over and that's getting in the way and it's super uncomfortable and hard to breathe, you just kind of like, let me say this first. The first thing that usually goes through your head is, oh my God, this is so annoying. This is so frustrating. I just want this to go away so that it's easier to just do everyday things like tying your shoes. And you have every right to feel like that, but the thing that's going to help with your healing is to start shifting your mindset to, oh my gosh, my poor belly. Like I've done so much to my body for so long. Of course it's here. It's here to help me. This might sound corny, but literally put your hands on your belly and just say, thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me to heal. If you have to literally, like, I'm going to stand up for a second. If you have to, put your foot up on a chair to tie your shoes, if that makes it a little easier, or even just put something that's a little bit higher up, so you're not like leaning over on it. That can help. But yeah, I really think that compassion is the most important thing here. So just be kind to yourself. Your body's going through a lot right now. And if you're 52, I'm going to guess that you probably started pretty early in life. So just remember that it really has been a long time that your body had gone through that. So yeah, just be really kind to yourself, and sending you tons of love and tons of compassion in your recovery. Okay, our next question comes from Miss Marilyn Dockendorf. Hello, Marilyn. If you start your recovery process with insomnia, hormone conditions like hypothyroidism, and reproductive conditions like endometriosis, all of which I have, does recovery take longer or less? Does recovery make said conditions worse before they get better? And do they get better after you are fully recovered? All right, so let's tackle each of those one at a time. So, does it make recovery take longer? Not necessarily. Honestly, these kind of conditions are extremely common with people that come from a background of restriction. As you know, and many of you know, that I come from a background of thyroid issues as well. A lot of people have struggled with insomnia. I mean, this is just like, if anything, this really just tells us what long-term restriction does to the body. It's so sad, but it doesn't really necessarily take longer per se, but I think your next question was about whether recovery makes them worse before they get better. Yeah, in general, let's just say that like recovery does feel, I know this sucks, but like recovery does kind of feel like it gets worse before, or at least it feels worse before it feels better. And that's just because you have to go through this huge shift. And of course the physical parts, but man, like mentally, emotionally, it's a lot. It's a lot. So just understand that that your body's going to need some patience and compassion right now, but it's totally worth it, because getting nutritionally rehabilitated, healing your relationship with food and your body, and then getting to the root cause issues of what caused the restriction or the eating disorder in the first place, and then having freedom is so beyond worth it. And myself, as well as like almost every client that I've ever worked with, I'd have to really think if it had, I just didn't want to like say 100% if I'm forgetting something. But for the most part, from what I can remember, like everybody's health improves. Typically the only things that prevent your health overall, and I'm talking about things like insomnia and hormone imbalances, when they don't get better, is if you return to any form of restriction, you are still guilting yourself about what you're eating, or like beating yourself up about your body, or basically leading into, if you're not working on the root cause issues for your restriction or eating disorder in the first place. Because as I have talked about in other videos before, physical health, like chronic health conditions, and pain for that matter, are your body's way of trying to get your attention. That there's something on a deeper level that needs your attention and needs deeper healing. So that's why I love the Louise Hay book, You Can Heal Your Life. If you don't have that, or you're not familiar with it, look that stuff up. Like thyroid, I at least know for myself personally, has to do with this deep feeling of like, when does it get to be my turn to do what I want to do? So when you look at those kind of things, like if you've gone through recovery and these kind of symptoms are still persisting, there's usually a deeper emotional cause. So hope that was helpful. Okay, our next question comes from, I don't know if you pronounce your name Cassandra or Cassandra, so I will say it both ways. Cassandra Diva or Cassandra Diva. Silly question, but is it common for body odor to change or get worse? That's not a silly question at all. It's completely normal. I mean, you have to think about it like, like I said, your body's going through this huge shift, right? And part of what happens as you are bringing in all these different kinds of foods that you either have never allowed yourself to eat or haven't eaten in a long time is your gut microbiome is changing, and it's going to change for the better long term. But in the interim, it can throw your body's pH off a little bit. So yeah, it's normal to have your body odor seem to get worse. If you have hyperhidrosis, which is where you like sweat super easily and like maybe you notice you have like armpit stains pretty easily, that gets worse. Yeah, so just know that all that stuff is incredibly normal. Okay, next question comes from Lulu2213. Did you have strange early recovery symptoms like heart palpitations and shakes? To my recollection, I don't know that I experienced those. However, a lot of my clients have. So it's really, it's incredibly normal. I do always have to put a disclaimer in here that any medical thing that you guys are concerned about, please go get checked out by your doctor first, as I am not a doctor or medical professional, and none of my advice is a substitute for medical advice. However, I have seen this a lot. Everybody's recovery looks a little bit different. I think if you guys have watched my interviews with some of my previous clients, like I can think about how like Amanda, for one thing, talked about like being super itchy all over, and that's not one that I experienced, but like a lot of people do. So so just keep that in mind, that you're, again, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, your body's going through an enormous shift. Yeah, so unless, you know, you're super concerned and you'd like to go get that checked out by your doctor, please do. But also know that I have seen this a lot. Okay, next one. Healthy Salon Mom. No question, just glad you're feeling better and can't wait for your video. You're so sweet. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Okay, next one. If I butcher the pronunciation of this, I apologize, so I'm just going to do my best. Visoimu. So we've got, never mind, I said I wouldn't spell it because you weren't one of the ones that said you would be okay with me posting it here. So, Jessie, how do you accept that your body changes through years? It's a complex question, isn't it? I think, honestly, it's just about, let me put it to you this way. When you focus on building deep self-love and deep self, not just acceptance, but approval, which takes time, and I talk about these practices on this channel, it's much easier to get to a place where you have compassion for all the different things that you go through in your life. And we truly go through so many phases, whether, you know, you go through extreme stages of stress and you gain or lose weight, or, you know, pregnancy, illness, injury, you know, and I guess right now I'm talking about things that either are preventing you from moving as much, or hormonally are changing, things like that. Like, we're not machines. And as I even say about machines, like, even machines aren't perfect, and machines break down, and machines make mistakes. Our bodies are meant to ebb and flow. And the reason that we don't let them do that and we judge it is just because we're taught to. And it's a habit, it's a practice we've gotten into for a really long time, and it's so sad. The other thing, like I already kind of mentioned in this video, is if your body is changing in terms of the direction of, like, well, actually this is true of like weight loss as well, if it's undesirable, but weight gain, it's another way of looking at it is, if that's happening to you and it seems like it's like out of the blue, it's your body's way of trying to get your attention that it needs something from you on a deeper emotional level. So that's something to really self-reflect on. If that's happening, rather than judge it, almost think about it like, okay, you know, what is this change in my body trying to tell me? What's been going on in my life emotionally? You could also say, if it's weight gain, how is my body feeling like it needs to protect me or needs more protection? So yeah, it's just being more self-aware and tuning into if you truly are meeting all of your body's needs, and none of us do that 100% of the time. But again, I just really think that those changes are a phenomenal opportunity to get in tune with our body and what our bodies need. Okay, so next question comes from Gogolova. Hi Julia, how are you? Why don't any healthcare providers know about extreme hunger, including dietitians? Girl, same. I wish I honestly knew the answer to that, but I don't entirely. Here's what I can say to you. This is still a relatively new, industry, if you will. And you think about how few of us in the grand scheme of things that there are talking about this on YouTube or publicly. And okay, without wanting to sound overly biased, let me say this first. I believe that there are good doctors and dietitians in the world. And I believe that even the ones who don't know this, that there are still ones who really, really mean well. But in my experience, I'll just say that, doctors and dietitians seem to be kind of set in their ways. And since this isn't something that gets taught in medical school, you'll know this too from your background of disordered eating. Once you become kind of dogmatic about the way you believe, this is the right way, this is the true way, it can be hard to swallow your pride and be open-minded to the fact that you may have been wrong the whole time. I know as a personal trainer, I had to swallow so much pride when I learned about this. And I actually went back to a lot of my old clients that I was still in contact with and apologized to them. And then my current the ones that I still had at the time, I apologized to every single one of them and explained to them that I was actually wrong, and now I knew a much better way and would be more than happy to teach it to them if they were open to it. But I have yet to see that happening a lot within the medical field. My altruistic self is really hoping that this is going to change. And believe you me, I'm going to be doing everything in my power to be part of creating that change, because it needs to happen, and this information needs to be out there for as many people as possible, because you guys know in your families, your friends, so many of them struggle with this kind of stuff, and unless they are open-minded from you, they're usually not going to listen. So we need this to be on so many different platforms that people have no choice but to start paying attention to it. So I digress, but I really don't know other than that. So my hope is that it moves in that direction. All right, next question comes from H.L. Rays. I love that. Did you have a period of extreme fatigue or exhaustion with pain in early recovery? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Most definitely. We all do. It's just part of recovery. Tabitha Farrar actually explains this really well about migration theory. And that is essentially, I'm going to really condense this. If we were to go back to primal times, right? And let's say you and I are in a tribe together. If our tribe has been struggling to find food for weeks and months, and we're just kind of barely living off of what we have, and then one day we come upon a ton of fruit trees or a herd of buffalo, we are obviously going to feast on that. But during that time where we are searching for food, the body will ramp up your energy to keep you alive so that you can have just enough energy to get up and keep searching for food. And once you find said food, and you are going to gorge on it because that's a biological response. That's probably not even the best word. I like to say feast on it. You're going to want to sleep because there was a lot of damage that was done, and you're incredibly exhausted from all that time of searching for food. So if we correlate this with an eating disorder, you spend so long with your restriction or your eating disorder, and you're expending a lot of energy that and your body's not taking in enough to barely even be able to sustain you. So that's why you have all these different things that start shutting down, whether it's your menstrual cycle, your hormones, your sex drive. Anyway, I could go all day. Yeah, so it's going to shut you down to start conserving energy and to take time to heal. So I have done videos about this. So yeah, you're more than welcome to check those out. Okay, then we've got Ciara V. McConnell. Is it normal to feel really sluggish in recovery? So we did just kind of cover this one, so just to answer your question in short, absolutely. This does tend to pass as your body heals. Alrighty, so next question is from Eva Slevin. I think I'm starting to lose a little bit of overshoot. How can I not focus too much on it and trust it? And I know you're meaning like trust the process, right? You want the truth? All right, for one thing, you got to start getting your mind off of it by having more that's going on in your life. And I have talked about this before in other videos, but a lot of times when this is happening, it's because recovery or like the concept of like our weight or overshoot is still too much the main focus of our everyday lives. And so the first thing I would ask you is, what else are you doing with your life that is not recovery focused, that's not like directly food focused or exercise focused, that actually makes you feel good about yourself or that you actually enjoy? Are you adding things like that into your life? A lot of times I find that, as silly as it sounds, like people realize they're not really doing much in their lives, that they don't make time for fun and they don't make time for things that build on their confidence. So what are you doing for hobbies? Can you take on a new skill and start working on that? Can you do something creative with your time? Here's the other thing I want to say to you that goes much deeper, okay? Ask yourself this question. If I didn't lose more overshoot, why would that be so bad? Okay. And when you have your answer to that, then ask yourself, why would that be so bad? And what we're trying to get all the way to the bottom of, right, is what it is that you're truly afraid will happen if no more overshoot comes off. And usually we're getting down to something like, people aren't going to like me. I'm not going to have any self-confidence. Things like that. And so once you're able to get all the way down to what that thing is, it tells you exactly what you need to be focusing on. What I have found with people when it comes to this specific fear around, like, what if I never lose overshoot? What if no more comes off? This kind of thing, is that there is a very deep part of you that desperately needs to feel like you are still going to love it, approve of it, keep it safe, keep it protected, no matter what. No matter what it looks like, no matter how it changes. And I know that's a scary thing to think about, but that is what typically I see is going on when there's this fear. So here again, it comes down to practicing compassion for yourself, practicing self-love, starting to build your confidence by doing activities that build on your confidence, doing self-love affirmations on a regular basis, doing an exercise that I do with clients, which is 3 things that I love about myself every single day, setting boundaries with people, removing toxic people from your life, self-care, getting off of stimulating things like phones and games and TVs, you know, checking in with yourself through meditation, prayer if you're religious, really taking care of yourself. And by doing that, it proves to your body that you are treating it, that you're going to keep treating it with that kind of love and approval, and making it feel safe and making it feel protected. And it just takes time. So to sum this all up, okay, number one, if you're having that fear of no more overshoot coming off, it is your body's way of literally telling you that it needs you, really, really, really needs you to start treating it with more love and approval, and like I said, show it that you're going to do that consistently through self-care. And then second thing is be doing things that are positively getting your mind off of the eating disorder and your weight, because at the end of the day, we want to have a life that's more than just thinking about our weight, right? So, and again, I've said this before in other videos too, the less we are focused on our weight, the easier it is for the body to just kind of go and relax. And then it will let go if it's meant to let go. Okay, last question is from Paige for Wellness. How do you know when exercise is okay? So I do have a couple videos about this, so I will link them in the description below. But briefly, I'll just explain this by saying that it's all about tuning in to your energy every single day. Be honest with yourself. I like to use scale of 1 to 10. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how is your energy on a regular basis? And in my personal opinion, if it is not above, at least a 7 or above, then you're not ready. And if it is, and you want to start adding it back in, just do it little by little and really check in with your body and see how it feels. But like I said, there's a lot more detail in those other 2 videos, so I will link those below for you. Thank you guys so much for your questions. I hope that they were answered thoroughly, and that any of you who are just tuning in to listen to these found them helpful. If you would, oh my gosh, I spaced there for a second. If you would like to see more videos like this one, be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you never miss an update on future videos. And if you did find this video helpful and enjoyable, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. It really, really and truly does help us to reach more people, like I was talking about earlier, who also wish to learn how to have more self-confidence, how to love themselves more, and how to be done with dieting. Bye guys, happy Thanksgiving!